Thank you, Andy. That was a brilliant look into hope, and thanks for the question you asked. I want to give you a title that is really simple. If you want to have unlimited hope, you need to learn to celebrate the flat tires of life. Many years ago, I had amassed enough money to buy myself a luxury car. It was black with gold trim, black leather interior. It had surround sound. I was quite excited. It's not the ideal vehicle for comfort in the hot summers of Dallas, Texas for a dark-skinned man, but I didn't care. I'll look good. My seminar on modesty is next week. And I went to the airport to pick up my father to show him off my prized possession because I'd hoped and dreamt to go to America. My father wanted me to settle well, and when I left India, my father had only one edict. He said, "Son," he held my hand through that little rickety fence that separated us in that aerodrome in that rural southern Indian town, and he said, "Son, for every step you take forward, I'll take one right behind you. God forbid you ever fall. I'll be right there to catch you. Don't be afraid to hope for the best in life." So now I had this luxury car. I went to the airport to pick up my father. I couldn't wait to come back and show Pop, "Pop, look what I bought. Thank you for liberating me." And there was a flat tire. And so I did what most people do when we see a flat tire. I kicked the tire. And my dad said, "Did it help?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Son, you need to be positive and celebrate the flat tires of life." I said, "You're ridiculously crazy right now, old man, for the simple reason that I'm a motivational speaker, and I think that's nuts." I said, "What do you mean celebrate a flat tire?" He said, "You see, when you have a flat tire, you have a car. And you just went past about 85% of planet Earth who don't. Celebrate the flat tire." See, part of our momentum is to begin to celebrate the flat tires of life that are going to hit us when we try to claim this unlimited hope in the future. So what are three things we can do to claim them? The first is have gratitude as a foundation. If I brought an architect of any repute to your city, wherever you live on planet Earth, and showed that architect a hole in the ground, with considerable certainty, the architect can tell me how tall the building is that'll fit in that hole. On what is he gauging his expertise? On what is he staking his reputation? The foundation. And everybody in the foundation needs to ask themselves those pertinent questions. Who am I? Where do I come from? What makes me laugh? What makes me cry? What gives me hope? What is your foundation? The second is curiosity as a definition. See, Andy gave us an analogy of trains that came from different destinations. I want to ask you to look at trains slightly differently. A man went to an interview, and the interviewer asked him a question that was very quantitative in nature. He said, if a train left Boston at 10 in the morning and was on its way to New York, and another train left New York at 10:30 in the morning and was on its way to Boston, both of them were on the same track. Train number A was coming down at 200 miles an hour. Train number B was going up at 150 miles an hour. And they were on the same track, using velocity, speed, and all the imagination you can conjure. Where do you think these trains would collide? And the guy said, "I would run and get my brother-in-law." They said, "Does he know the answer?" He says, "No, but he loves to watch trains wreck." So sometimes what happens is we have to have the curiosity. Life is not a spectator sport, it is a participator sport. You want unlimited hope, learn this. If you've ever been to a sporting event, you'll understand what happens. That's a microcosm of life. 75,000 people desperately in need of exercise, constantly yelling at 22 people desperately in need of rest. You need to learn to participate in life. So the first thing, gratitude as a foundation. Second thing, curiosity as a definition. Third, benchmarking as a solution. My late mentor used to say, if you let someone else row your boat, they're going to take it to where they want to go, not to where you want to go. One man was running late from work. He approached this old homestead behind which ran a track. And if he had crossed that, he would have access to the railway station. So he barreled to that guy's door, knocked on it, and said, "Kind sir, if I can cut through your field and make a little haste, I may be able to make the 4 o'clock train." The man said, "If my bull sees you, you'll make the 3:30. If you let someone else row your boat, they're going to take it to where they want to go, not to where you want to go. Alfred Adler said, hope is the foundational quality of all change. John Maxwell said, if there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. If you want to garner that, have that first thing of gratitude as a foundation. Have the second thing of curiosity as a definition. But third thing, benchmarking as a solution. What are the benchmarks you've set for yourself in the days ahead after you head back? It's not a numbers game. Do not confuse activity with accomplishment. Second, live your day by the clock and your life with a vision. So you can have fleeting hope when you run with the plan of salvation. You will only have lasting hope when you run to the man of salvation. Jesus, the author and finisher of everything that is in our life, becomes that architect. He becomes that foundation. He learns how to build you from the inside out. He will give you a tremendous amount of hope. He will increase hope in your families, in your marriages. Well, after I had been married for some years, is when I realized that when I looked at that beautiful bride of mine, through his eyes, I saw a forgiven woman. One of the things that gave me hopelessness in my evangelistic life is when my bride started getting afflicted with an illness that would not allow her to travel with me. I had been away from home all of my life, as most of you know. And I thought when my boy went away to college and we finally became those empty nesters, this would be our time to do ministry together. We started a foundation and we were going to raise money so she could travel with me. And oh, so unfortunate, the year in which we made that decision, Anila was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, a very chronic condition that prevents her from moving in certain uncertain circumstances. With great reluctance, she went on what is called an infusion. It's quite unfair that this God who we serve, that we clamor for hope, gave my wife the one illness that will not allow her to travel with me. Twice every 2 months, she has to go and be hooked up to a machine and get almost what is like a chemo. How do you find hope in that? You go back to the basics. Gratitude is a foundation that we get to do it at all. Curiosity is a definition. How can we do it within the confines of what we have been given? And more importantly, benchmarking is a solution. Are we the example? And that's why the great wise man once said, when you are hopeless in this world and you feel kicked to the curb, when you're absolutely sure that all the deck is stacked against you, and that no matter which way you look, there is despair and hopelessness, that example that is being made of you is being used so that you can be put through the fire and forged and refined to come out as a fine diamond. So someday, 25 years later, someone will say, that was being used as an illustration. You want finite hope and have an infinite supply of it? It doesn't work. You have to pray for infinite supply and hope that the finality and the finite things are the problems. Problems produce patience. Patience produces that perseverance. I don't pray for problems. But unless you go through that refinement, you won't understand it. And lastly, when you take the time to understand, learn to live your day by the clock and your life with a vision, understand that the rapidity of life should be tempered by practicality. By the inch, it's really a cinch, said one. By the yard, it's really hard, said another. Don't expect the end of the process while still in the middle of the process, said another. And finally, one wise man said, the food you eat on the mountaintop only grows in the valley. What I like about this format of speaking with rapidity, it almost illustrates a hope. Some of you are hoping that I'm done, and your wish just came true.